In Pit Lane is proudly brought to you by the Australian Sports Sedan Association and the Grunt Performance Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. Welcome everybody once again to a brand new season of In Pit Lane. Yes, we're back on YouTube Live, we're on Facebook Live, we're also coming to you every Thursday night at a new time slot. Thursday night, 8:30 on Channel 31 Melbourne and Geelong, and repeated several times. We're also on demand on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, and of course at the In Pit Lane website, inpitlane.com. Well, coming up, a busy couple of months of motorsport ahead of local motorsport. Of course, the Sandown 500 is just around the corner, but at the end of this month, it is, of course, well, we get a 3-day weekend for the big weekend of the year, of course, the grand final. Yes, the grand final of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships at Phillip Island, and they will feature once again the Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. And a driver who was hoping to be in that race, but is not now, is going to join us a little bit later on. He is Ran McClurkin. He's just purchased and is rebuilding the ex-Dean Cam, Derek Van Zelm Honda Prelude V8, and he's coming up a little bit later on in the program. Also, Jess Heisler will be joining us a little bit later on for some local music. We've got live music back, and look, it's great to be back. It's great to have you back as well. But as I said, a lot has been happening locally in motorsport, and well, open wheel racing in Australia, let's face it, has struggled to find any traction for a long, long time. The last time local open wheel racing attracted any sort of real interest and any large crowd was during the 1970s, when dinosaurs ruled the earth. Those dinosaurs were called Formula 5000, and when local racer and media publisher Chris Lambden came up with a new era version of the classic V8 racer, well, a lot of people were interested. Well, last week, his ambitious project, now called S5000, took a major step forward with the unveiling of a brand new car design. Now, I caught up with Chris last week, and I started by asking him just how the project had changed from its original concept and why.
I guess it's fair to say we had a couple of hurdles in terms of the car itself and CAMS's requirements in terms of updated safety from the original design of this car, which was 2008. So, I think we would have got there in the end, and it would have required everyone to take half a step back. But then, literally out of the blue, we got to hear about this new chassis that has been launched literally in the last couple of months, from designed by a French company called Onroc, who make the Le Mans LMP1, LMP2, LMP3 chassis, etc. For use wherever suitable, and so they have an American base, and amongst other things, the tub will be used in an American series. And so we got the computer CAD drawings and overlaid it against the existing car, and amazingly, it was within a few millimetres. It was the same in all the crucial dimensions. So it became a serious option. We've now able to offer a 2018 FIA approved chassis. All the mechanicals will be as on the other car, the same V8 engine, the same big tyres, the same Hollinger gearbox. So what we had, this is it plus, and to be honest, it's just the best outcome we could possibly have had.
The original plans for the class were to try and keep this as affordable as possible. I mean, keeping in mind that this is, a particularly sophisticated and very fast car. How much of these plan changes affected the bottom line, and how much has it affected the cost to the customers?
Bizarrely, it's probably going to be a fraction cheaper, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, the techniques of actually making carbon fibre tubs have evolved to the point where the tub was only a little dearer than we were being faced with, but at the same time, the other car, we were going to have to make quite a lot of the components because it's out of production. This car is now a production car, so a lot of those pieces are off the shelf. So that all balances out to the point where I think it'll actually be a little bit cheaper than the other car was going to be.
The artist impressions of the cars that we've seen have a number of design changes from your original prototype. The one, of course, that everybody's talking about is the Halo. Can you tell us a bit about why the decision to go with the Halo? What was the battle over that?
Look, it's actually a very personal thing. You know, I mean, I personally, aesthetically, don't like the Halo. You know, I've been around motor racing far too long. You know, like you, and we find that it doesn't enhance the look of a race car. And but you know, professionally, pragmatically, there is no choice now. If you want to launch a new car, a new category, you know, with the full FIA backing, you've got to have it. It's that simple. It's not a debate. It's not even a question. You've got to have it. Now, my personal hope is that down the track they may come up with something a bit better, a bit more aesthetically suitable. You know, I quite like the thing that IndyCar are working on, the clear screen. But at this point, no Halo, no car. So I've spoken to a couple of drivers who've driven cars with a Halo, and they say that, look, after a couple of laps you don't notice it. So the problem is in the beholder. And as I said, people like me who've been around motor racing too long tend to be a bit sniffy about it, but it's going to be a fact of life.
It seems at the moment that CAMS are distributing new categories, a bit like sort of lollies at a candy store. We've got TCR is coming in. We've also been announced last week LMP3 is coming to Australia. How much, if anything, will the introduction of these new categories affect your business model?
Not a lot, I don't think. You know, having, gosh, now 3 effectively new categories all appearing at once, you know, you've got to take the view that there's going to be some dilution of effort there. I think the LMP3 announcement that's been made is most likely to affect the existing GT class, in fact, because you know, that's heavily populated by, you know, what, for lack of a better word, gentlemen drivers who can afford a car, want to go racing. So I don't think it's going to affect us greatly. Like, we're the only open wheeler category. We are, you know, a fair leap ahead of anything currently existing in the open wheeler world, and the kind of drivers and car owners that we're talking to and likely to attract, I think, are pretty set on doing that. So, but you know, it's an interesting time for sure. TCR is interesting. From what I'm hearing, TCR and this new LMP sports car category are likely to be on more like the Shannon's series program, whereas we're, you know, fairly confidently targeting being on the supercar show because of the profile of what we're doing.
Well, we've seen the artist drawings, of course. I mean, when might we see the first of these cars actually on the track?
Our first chassis is actually on its way, should be here next week. There's a bit of engineering adaptation to do. Basically, the whole rear end of our existing car will transfer across. So all that work that's been done is still valid. So it's still got the same V8 engine, the same Hollinger, big rubber, all that. But there is a build-up process to go. I hope to have it running early October with a view to us having it on track at the Gold Coast. That's my target. I always say a target because, as you know, things happen in racing, but realistically I hope to have it there.
And what's the timeline for the start of the series?
Again, my personal target is next April. Physically, you know, production-wise, it can be done. You know, that relies on a couple of things being confirmed quite soon. In particular, any arrangements where the events will be in particular. But at this point, all the contributing, you know, companies, manufacturers, suppliers are kind of poised, ready to go. And in theory, I'm aiming for April.
Yes, an exciting project, and we'll give you more details of that as it comes to hand over the next few weeks and months. But right now we're going to take a break here on In Pit Lane, and when we come back we're going to be joined by our special guest, local sports sedan racer Ran McClurkin. You're watching In Pit Lane. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, now for all of you watching live on YouTube, we're thrilled to be back. We've got a little bit of time now. We're on YouTube. I hope you're watching. If you are watching, remember to like and subscribe. Also, make sure you click the notifications bell. Because of the changes in legislation in the European Union in terms of privacy and all the rest of it, you've got to click the bell to be notified, because you can't YouTube aren't allowed to just send out notifications willy-nilly. You've actually got to ask for them now, and that's how you do it. Just go down, subscribe, click on the bell, and then every time we have new content, new programs live here on a Tuesday, but also other bonus content, including more live streaming coming up, then you can get that live here in the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. And the reason that we're back at all, and we're fortunate enough to be back for this second season, is of course thanks to the generosity and support of our friends at the Australian Sports Sedan Association Victoria, who have been have just been fabulous in terms of, coming back. The moment that we found out Channel 31 was, not being thrown off the air, we were going to be around for at least a couple more years, they were straight onto us and said, yeah, we're on board. If you guys are coming back, we're on board for a second season this year. So thank you to those guys. And of course, coming up at the end of the month, down at the spectacular Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, is the grand final of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship, featuring round 4 of the Grunt Performance Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. Round 3 at Winton featured some of the coldest, wettest, most miserable conditions I've ever seen, but it also threw up a surprise winner with the Mini Cooper of Ian McDougall taking the win. Now, if you'd like to see just how bad those conditions were, you can check out that story on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Now, Rick Newman in his 6-litre Falcon still leads the series, but with plenty of competition from the likes of Chaz Talbot's Camaro and the Rotary Brigade, led by Bruce Henley and Graham Gilliland, you know that you're in for some great motorsport action. So look, put it in your calendar now. Make sure that you're there for the Grunt Performance Victorian Sports Sedan Championship Round 4 at Phillip Island on the 29th and 30th of September. And if you want more information on sports sedans or anything that they're up to, go to the Sports Sedan website at sportsedan.com.au or click on the banner and link on the In Pit Lane website. And In Pit Lane and RMITV Student Television would once again like to say thank you to the Australian Sports Sedan Association for their great support of community television and In Pit Lane. Well, we're just about ready to come back for our friends at 31. So if Pete, if the people in there would like to give me a countdown, I'll accept it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, coming up, as we said, in a few weeks' time down at Phillip Island is the Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. But one person who was hoping to be down there, but will be in action later on this year, is a man, probably one of the most colourful personalities on the local sports sedan scene. I mean, yeah, let's face it, racing drivers have a fairly conservative appearance, but our guest tonight, you certainly notice him coming down the street. Not only is he a racing driver, he is also one of Australia's finest tattoo artists. He is also a frontman been a frontman for a death metal band. He is Ran McClurkin. Ran, I suppose the question is, with all of your
You're talking me up there.
I'm talking you up because let's face it, you're a different breed of cat, and I suppose with George Vidovic now racing in America and Dean Cam doing mostly sort of historic and national stuff, are you sort of the State Series resident eccentric?
I think maybe I am. I know George and Dean really well, and I think yeah, I probably drank from the same water that those two boys did. So yeah.
The interesting thing, let's talk about the car. You'd built a car which we saw in the past, which was the 370Z.
350Z.
350Z with a Chev in it. You'd only just got that on track, and then suddenly we hear that you've gone and bought Dean Cam's old Honda Prelude. How did that happen?
Look, the plan was always to get into a space frame car. So that was the goal from the time I got back into racing. So the car came up for a good price, and it's a lot of car for what I paid. So it was sort of no decision. So I spoke to my old man, and we said, if we can get the Z moved along, then we'll grab this, and it came together really well. And yeah, now I have the Honda.
So for people who aren't sort of aware of sports sedans in general, there's the one thing about sports sedans, I remember sort of, Andy Warhol's sort of principle that, there was nothing more corrupting than taking sort of a mass-produced item and modifying it or rebuilding it for the sake of doing something different and unique with it. Is that part of the appeal of sports sedans, where you take a mass-produced, fairly bland car like a Honda Prelude and suddenly turned into something that's going to sort of, beat Porsches and Camaros and Corvettes?
The cool thing is that, we build cars that can beat, GT3 cars and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy and are quicker than, V8 supercars. And, traditionally sports sedans were built by, a guy in his shed drinking beer and chucking a motor in the middle of some, cage work and getting out there and having a go. So I think definitely the craziness and just the absurdity of the class is definitely very attractive.
Tell us the difference between the 350Z and the Honda. The 350Z was a floor pan car. Tell us if it is a full space frame. So tell us about the difference there, so people understand what the main difference is.
The first difference I'd like to say is how they drive. Like the space frame car, I've done one test at Winton, and it's just phenomenal compared to a floor pan car, you know, that you're taking off the street and converting. So basically, the Z was a car that was written off, flood damaged, and we put a Chev in it and used, you know, most of the factory suspension and the pickup points and everything, where a space frame car is a purpose-built prototype race car. So, you know, you're starting with a blank canvas with a space frame car, so you can sort of build it exactly how you want it with everything in the right place, where a floor pan car, you're sort of limited to what they've done from the factory, you know, so that's probably the big difference.
Do you, with the state of the sports today and they're coming to the space frame car, is that something that you found surprising in terms of the complexity of it? And is that the reason why you're not making this weekend? That, you know, as you look into more and more of it, there's...
As it was an older car that sort of sat around for a little bit, like the gentleman that I bought it off, you know, maintained it great, but it's just an old car, and it's sort of, we've found as we've started looking deeper that it just needs more work. You know, it's a really quick car. They're dangerous things to drive with the engine sitting next to you. So the original builder of the car, Derek Van Zelm's come on board to help, which is awesome. You know, he hasn't been in the class for a little while, and I think this has sort of sparked his interest, which is ace. You know, it's good. These guys made some pretty cool cars back in their day, and I think that the car, I definitely think it can be very competitive at a state level. Obviously, Nationals has moved on a fair bit, and you know those boys are playing a little bit of a different league. But I still think it'd run, you know, reasonably well with them. So, yeah.
So, as I said, you're not going to make it. Who might we see down at Phillip Island? I believe, because there were a few cars that we were hoping to see, new cars coming out, but they're not going to quite make it either. So. We mentioned sort of Rick Newman a couple, but there are some people coming
Paul
back as well.
Panisi's back with his old supercar. Yeah, the Commodore. He's pretty quick. Chaz Talbot, so he's pretty keen. Chaz is pretty keen to get a championship, so he's sort of doing everything he can. He built a new Camaro and has been doing pretty well in that. He didn't do too well at Winton, but it wasn't really suited those conditions for a car like that. We sort of, like Ian did a fantastic job at Winton, and it just shows that you can get out with a car that's relatively simple and take it to the big guys when the weather's not so great. So he's running. I know Graham Gillian's back out with his rotary, and you know, he's always a very fierce competitor.
And of course, if it rains, I mean, that brings those guys right into it, even at Phillip Island.
Oh, 100%. And I think there's a GDR running as well, and you know, we'll probably get the WRX as well. So if there is a little bit of rain, yeah, watch those guys come to the front of the track.
Long term, we've got the end of the year, the final round of the championship is the traditional Phillip Island 50k plate. This year, it's also a round of the National Series as well, so that's going to be huge. And obviously, you're trying to get your car ready for that.
Oh, 100%. Look, we're going to do a couple of Winton tests and then definitely 50k plate. By all accounts, it's going to be overprescribed. It's going to be a huge meeting, and I think you'll see a lot of sports sedans that haven't run maybe for most of the year coming out just for that event. Maybe even possibly a Hyundai. I've been told that might be ready with a 5-litre V8 in it. So hopefully he makes the track. Yeah, a few cars like that. There's a Calibra as well for Dodge that was running in Sydney, so he might come out. So it could be pretty good.
Well, they're always worth watching. Anything down at Phillip Island, I mean, even if the weather is absolutely terrible, I mean, you know, but good luck with the car and good luck with the... Are you running the wheel sprints again, just quickly?
No, the spine has stopped me from doing that. So no more wingless sprints, and also trying to do 2 race cars at once is pretty difficult. So the Honda is the main focus now.
Well, good luck with the car. We'll see you in action, and it's a very noticeable car, trust me. We'll see you down at Phillip Island, hopefully for the 50k plate at the end of the year. But for now, Ran McClurkin, thanks for joining us on In Pit Lane.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Now, we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we've got some live music coming up, and we've got all of the news. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Okay, well, thank you for that. Now, I'm going to just chase down your Built by Wizards, Raced by Madmen. Which one are you?
A bit of both. I'm probably more of a madman than a wizard. The name came about because I think it's sort of self-explanatory for sports sedans. You know, they look like they're built by mad scientists, I reckon. It's pretty insane when you first come across them. Like most people I tell about sports sedans are like, that can't exist. How can you do that? How can you race a car with an engine next to your leg burning it? And yeah, obviously madmen to drive them. So yeah, and sort of actually inspired by Dean Cam, because he's a madman. And I remember seeing the Honda that I have now running at Calder, and it actually had grass growing in the passenger side, so in clumps of dirt. And I think, you know, that it was just a crazy car that, and it sort of, you know, made a mark on me. You know?
And it was so successful. I think I put a link up to one of our shows
Yeah.
from 2006.
But won
where he
3
was-
championships.
Yeah, it was the car to beat.
And I think it won the most races in a row
Yeah.
in sports sedans
Yes.
ever. So
Very dominant.
I've got
car
a lot
for
to
long
live up
time.
for.
Yes, very much so. Now, Speaking, I did mention the music. We've got some live music coming up right now, actually. Tell us quickly about your music.
I was in a signed band over in Europe, but I'm now just focusing mainly on the racing, to be honest. Everything's sort of been pushed to the side now that I've got the Honda, and that's sort of the main focus. But yeah, I've done a lot of touring and recording and stuff overseas, so yeah.
Well, our musical guest in here live tonight is Jeff Heiser, and Jess is going to be playing us a song right now, and also at the end of the show for our Channel 31 viewers. But right now, this is an in-pit lane bonus. And Jess, I didn't get the what are you singing for us tonight?
This first song is kind of driving related. I wrote it inspired while I was driving angrily down a road. So yeah, it's called Since Day One.
Well, sounds good. Sounds good to me. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's day one here on a new series of In Pit Lane. So, Jess, take it away with.
Thank you. Driving home, angst in my bones, don't even know what I am driving to. Heading back with the beast on my back, what is my life coming to? And I've tried to find the same mind that I had when I was younger, when my dreams were all ablaze and I never wondered how. But times they can turn around if I wait a little longer. Strong enough to see through these moody days, 'cause I'm so tired of waiting for the epiphany, which stays locked away inside if I don't make that change. Changing gears like we all do, keeping it real to the world outside. Even though I'm so messed up, I could cry. Too many thoughts splicing my mind. But how could I ever change the energy of a hard-fought mind? Or become the one that I judge and forget all that hard-fought kindness. Believe what you wanna believe, but I believe in me. Smoking too many cigarettes, do you believe where this is coming from? I can't remember when I had to write 5 songs just to survive. It's getting late, is my timing done? Or has it only just begun? I've got to get myself out of this hole and onto the page. So can you tell me, have I done something wrong? Can being myself truly reap rewards for which I so long? Is who I have been and done, how I become everything that I've believed in since day one. Since day one, since
Thank you, Jess. Thank you for that. That was since day one. Now you're coming back a little bit later to play us out for 31. What are you singing then?
Yes, I'm singing a song, Free Tonight, much more sort of happy, upbeat kind of.
Free tonight. Well, it's appropriate for Channel 31 because, of course, it will be free tonight on Channel 30. Well, it'll be free on Thursday night on Channel 31.
Exactly, that's fantastic.
Okay, thanks a lot for
you.
that. Thanks for that, Jess. And now, people want to contact you on social media, or you got something on Reverb Nation, I noticed?
Pretty much, you can always just Google Jess Heeser and I'll come up sort of everywhere. But yeah, Facebook, Jess Heeser Music, Reverb Nation, Jess Heeser Music. It's a similar thing. There's no other Jess Heesers out there as far as I know, so...
Well, you've got it now, so that's the main thing, and we will see you a little bit later on.
Fantastic.
But for now, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back to the 31 program in just a moment. So, Pete, if we can get a countdown from you, that would be really great. Once again, thank you to our sports sedan guys as well, and everybody. We've got 5 seconds. Welcome back. You're watching In Pit Lane. Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks in motorsport, and it's also been a busy weekend, not just locally, but also internationally as well. Let's check out all of the news that's been happening right around Australia and right across the world. This is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. Grant Denyer and Tony D'Alberto dominated the Australian Production Car Championship at Winton Raceway last weekend. After narrowly winning Saturday's first race, the Lotus led all the way on Sunday. Such was the dominance of the Exige that Denyer, who started Sunday's race, was left in to do the entire 2-hour event in a Gold Logie winning performance. Jim Policina and Ryan Simpson finished second, while third place went to Kyle Alford in a podium clean sweep for Lotus. Jaden Ojeda looks headed towards the Australian Formula 4 Championship with 2 race victories at Winton. Team BRM's Aaron Love clinched his first Formula 4 race victory in Sunday's second race, with Saturday's Round 4 winner Ryan Schul in third, moving himself up to second in the championship hunt.
There's the checkered flag, and Jaden Ojeda takes race 3 for round 5 of the CAMS Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship.
Lewis Hamilton broke the hearts of the Monza crowd with a hard-fought win over Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen to win the Italian Grand Prix. Räikkönen started from pole and led for a large slice of the race before Hamilton took the lead on lap 45. The Englishman survived a first-lap incident with his main championship rival, Sebastian Vettel, which caused the Ferrari driver to spin out of contention. Max Verstappen finished third on the track, but a 5-second penalty for contact with Valtteri Bottas dropped the Red Bull driver to 5th place, leaving Bottas to take the final podium spot. It was a tough weekend for Dan Ricciardo after having to start from the rear of the grid due to an engine penalty. The Australian was forced to retire early due to what Red Bull engineers said was a clutch issue. Hamilton's victory and a 4th place to Vettel has seen him move 30 points ahead of the Ferrari driver as the cars head to Singapore for the race under lights on September 16th. 2017 Indy 500 winner Takuma Sato has broken through for his first win in over a year with a hard-fought win at Portland. The Japanese driver held out a fast-charging Ryan Hunter-Ray and Sebastian Bourdais, who won the last Portland IndyCar race way back in 2007. The race got off to a spectacular start when the cars of Zach Veach and James Hinchcliffe triggered a huge crash that saw the car of Marco Andretti flip over. Championship leader Scott Dixon was also involved in the incident, but despite damage to his car, the Kiwi driver came back through the field to finish in 5th place and strengthen his title lead. Australia's Will Power started from pole, but after that little piece of happiness, it was pretty much all downhill from there. The reigning Indy 500 winner struggled with gearbox problems before hitting the wall, causing minor damage. He eventually finished back in 21st place. Brad Keselowski has given Team Penske its first victory at Darlington Raceway in 43 years with a win in the Southern 500. Keselowski passed race leader Kyle Larson out of the pits with 22 laps to go before pulling away on the restart to take the win. Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman and Jeff Earnhardt featured in the race's biggest crash in an event that saw relatively few incidents and only 3 leaders. Terry McMillan has taken top honours at the world's most prestigious single drag racing event, the NHRA Nationals at Indianapolis. McMillan powered past Doug Coletta to give him his first win at the Nationals and only the second of his career. In funny car, local hero J.R. Todd defeated Matt Hagan to become the first funny car driver to win back-to-back Nationals since Mike Neff in 2011 and 2012. And in Pro Stock, Tanner Gray ran a 6.641 pass in his grey Motorsport Valvoline Camaro to defeat Jeg Coughlin Jr. for his first Nationals victory. Well, live music has always been a part of In Pit Lane from the very first series over 22 years ago, and we're pleased to say that's continuing here on this series this year. Joining us right now is Jess Heiser. She's a local singer-songwriter, and you can catch up with her on all sorts of social media platforms. In fact, there they are now, Jess Heiser Music, Twitter, Reverb Nation, it's all up there, so if you want to catch up with Jess, you can find out where she's playing and listen to some more of her great music. But right now, she's going to take us out from our first show tonight with a song that is somewhat appropriate for Channel 31, because like everything that's good in life, Channel 31 is free tonight and tomorrow night. So until we see you next week, it's bye from all of us, it's bye from now. And here is Jess Heiser and Free Tonight.
Somehow I'm free tonight. Somehow I'm feeling right. Never thought I'd be free tonight. Granted a wish and I got 10,000. I've gotta be free tonight, 'cause I was feeling something just wasn't right. So I've gotta be free tonight. No more sit down, sit back, relax, sit tight. I've got to be free and you can't swallow me, so let me be free. Yeah. You can't help me be free, 'cause that all is up to me. It's up to me, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Let me be free. You don't have to let me be free. Cause it's up to me. My freedom is up to me. I've got a flight tonight, and I'm feeling alright. Got my keys, got my papers. All is well, no more hell. Let's all be free tonight. I've gotta be free tonight, 'cause I was feeling something just wasn't right. So I've gotta be free tonight. No more sit down, sit back, relax, sit tight. I've got to be free.